Remember when I made a PC case? Yeah, me neither. It's been quite some time. So much time, in fact. I had to go back and watch the first two parts of this trilogy to see all the little things I did again, because, well, I do remember the premise and philosophy of the idea I came up with. I straight up forgot a lot. To which, if you haven't forgotten much, you are a real one for being around back then. And to those who haven't seen those videos yet, now's your chance. But if you don't care or would rather for me to just get to the point, well, I explored the idea of building a PC case by using an open air bench and grabbing the cardboard it was packaged in, plus a few scraps lying around, and adding touch-ups using a little paint to spiff it up. Overall, where we left off with it wasn't bad, but I actually planned to do just a little bit more with it. Yes, believe it or not, this case isn't completely finished for me, which I would imagine is a real shocker to you. A lot had piled up, so I honestly forgot about it, and the build itself sat collecting dust for a while. But no longer. Today, we finish this case and do a very inefficient check for how effective or worthwhile it is to see if you or anyone should do this, even to this day. Man, it's been nearly 2 years at this point, huh? Anyways, the one major thing I wanted to do was solve our putting our SSD in a spot and sort of mounting it location issue. If you remember, I just had nowhere to put it. And I don't think this was ever considered when this was designed, since test benches are very much for testing parts and swapping all sorts of stuff often on them, like boot drives. And since hard drives aren't a big deal anymore, I can see why this one wouldn't have a spot for it. If our budget build supported M.2 storage, this wouldn't be an issue, so instead we have to be crafty. This led to me coming up with the brilliant idea of displaying it on the outside with cables running through a punched out hole. I couldn't find the original SSD, probably used it in another PC since then, so for this build, this guy will have to do for now. If you know, you know. I immediately went ahead and started doing rough measurements for this, and went ahead to start cutting out our cable exit point. I chopped it up good, and I was going to paint the edges on the inside so it would look half decent, but I couldn't find the blue paints. I don't know, I guess I lost that too. And so I decided to just touch it up with this marker. It will work plenty, and honestly, I don't feel like watching paint dry anyways, and I hope you don't want to either. After that, I struggled to get our SATA power cable through, and then went ahead and grabbed a blue SATA data cable to give it this all a matching style. I went ahead and plugged it in, and was about to move forward to screw the SSD into the case, until I realized it was already pretty rigid and locked in there. So I decided to keep it like this. Gives it a hot swap reload feel to it, honestly. Nice. So what else did I have in mind? Well, originally I wanted to put a bunch of air vents on the sides and whatnot to increase airflow and exhaust. But because we have some decent positive pressure from the front hood scoop that I designed and plenty of exhaust holes towards the back, it didn't feel super necessary to stress or try to design around this. Plus, with the new hole on the side from our cables, I feel like this rusty bucket of cardboard scraps isn't going to get choked all that much. I did make the executive decision, however, to say, screw it and put some on the top, specifically where the barcode was. That way, it would be semi-discreet and not very noticeable while pulling air in, maybe for the GPU or something. It isn't too bad, I think. Alright, what's next? Well, arguably, the biggest issue with a custom handmade PC like this is that unless you are prepared to short your pins and lift up the shell every time you use it, you would likely do it once and keep the PC on sleep mode and let it run continuously until you finally got the real deal. And so that means we need a power button. The one I have here is a bit higher end, as I can't find the one I got for a whole $5, but there are many different ones ranging in designs that can be acquired for a cheap price. All in all though, this is nice to have, especially since it has double-sided tape, which means you could mount it to the side of a desk or something. Pretty neat stuff. Okay, what was next? Oh, that's it? Huh. I guess I didn't actually have a whole lot left to add to this cardboard power PC. Might explain why I put this thing in an attic to collect dust for an eternity. Man, this video's gonna be short. Well, I still honestly have a lot to talk about in regards to what I've done here, so let's go ahead and finish plugging in everything and look at our final product to see what we really have here. In short, not including our fans, we spent less than $30 on our case. But it's been quite some time since I first did this, obviously, so I was concerned that maybe $30 PC cases came back and that this was useless or rather redundant to do. But to my surprise, no. The cheapest and most popular name brand PC case, the Cooler Master Masterbox Q300L, is still $40 or more. I tried looking around for other budget cases, but this was essentially as cheap as they got, and while many of them were half decent, it didn't change the fact that not much has happened in the last couple of years. Whether it be due to tariffs or other factors in the economy or world right now, doing this yourself isn't the worst idea imaginable. I even went back and updated the prices because, well, it's obviously been a hot minute, and you might only pay an extra $3 or $5 if you try to replicate what I have done here today. You could say this is a bit pointless or not as cheap if you need to buy a hot glue gun or zip ties to complete a cardboard case such as this, which I think are fair points. But I feel like those are things you should also get or have anyways if you are a nerd who jerry-rigs and builds stuff that you otherwise would buy every once in a blue moon. The main thing I expect people to say about this is that you might as well just save up your money and actually buy a budget PC case or invest into a higher quality one, that way you don't have to worry about doing this in the first place. To which my response is, no you. I'm pretty sure the person who resorts to a cardboard PC case would love it if you told them that to their face. I think if you are building a normal PC or even a run-of-the-mill budget PC, yes, you should just wait to get an extra 10 or 20 bucks and just get something that you can actually use. Typically, though, the bottom line is the price with these sorts of things. And yeah, sometimes that's the reality for some. But also, where is the fun in all that? I know people who mounted their computers to their walls if they had to, or because they like messing around with tech in ways that are unique and creative. And also, more importantly, just to reiterate the point here, if someone is considering doing this, it's because it's plan B or C for them, a last resort. I would do this only if I didn't have the money, or if I was in a desperate need for something that will work now and act as a one-time freebie in the case that water explodes out of nowhere or gets thrown across the room in a dramatic fashion. I feel like it's also a good learning experience since, for many, we just take hardware components for granted and expect our tools or equipment to be the standard that was set by the best of the best since, well, why wouldn't it be? But in the end, it's functional. It does a decent job. I can feel air running through it in mine and going out the back. It looks sorta crappy, but honestly, it at least has a soul, which is more than what some budget or high-end PC cases now nowadays. Nowadays? Now what? So, as far as I'm concerned, this was, to the very least, a successful PC case concept at the end of the day. I am glad I finally got to close the book on this left Finland of a cardboard artifact. Sorry, Sweden. I think next time I try this again, I will actually try to make it into something more professional, useful, or maybe even something, 3D printable or whatever. I bet a lot of people would be interested in seeing the, process in that, and yeah. But anyways, hopefully you thought this video was interesting as well. I know it was a bit shorter than what you would normally see, but to be fair, there were 2 whole other parts, so yeah. But what do you guys think? Would you ride or die with a case like this? Would you only do it for like a couple of months and scrap up as much cash and change that you could find in the meantime to get a proper budget case? Tell me in the comments below. If you liked this video, leave a like. Subscribe for more weird stuff, but fun stuff, and even some exciting stuff that will be hopefully coming out soon. Join the Discord, follow me on Bluesky, yada yada yada, and oh, as always, thanks for watching.